Leadership development is a total waste of money, at least the way you've probably been receiving it for your entire career. And I'm saying this as a lifelong leadership development expert. This is literally what I've been being paid to do for over 20 years. Luckily for my private clients and even the leaders that work where I'm employed, I don't do leadership development this way anymore. I learned a very long time ago it doesn't work well for anyone, and it actually backfires for introverted and highly sensitive leaders. Think about a time that you went to a leadership development program to learn a skill: communication skills, influence skills, presentation skills. You learned what you needed to learn, but in the moment that it mattered most, you weren't able to apply those skills. Maybe you were in front of the room giving your presentation and somebody challenged you and you froze. You lost your train of thought. You weren't able to apply what you learned. You've been there, right? Maybe not in that exact situation, but you know what I'm talking about. You knew what you needed to do, but somehow you weren't able to access that knowledge, that skill. That's why leadership development is broken. That's why it's a waste of money, unless you do it with my framework. The way I do leadership development is regulate, reframe, rise. Regulate your nervous system, reframe your thoughts, then you can rise to any leadership challenge with the skills that you learn in leadership development programs. Most leadership programs are built on the same assumptions. You just give somebody new skills, tell them to behave differently, and off you go. They're just gonna go do things differently, do things better. I really wish it were that simple. It's just not. And like I said, that not only doesn't work well for really anybody that I've ever worked with in my 20 plus year career, it actually backfires for introverted and highly sensitive leaders. The painful irony is the more high stakes the situation is, the more important the moment is, the less accessible those skills are for you. Not because you don't have them, but because something else has taken over. That's exactly why you find the perfect response that you need in the car on the way home from that important meeting. It's not a skill problem. It's not a confidence problem. It is a sequence problem. My framework, regulate, reframe, rise, is the appropriate sequence. Think about it this way. You would not build a house without ensuring that it had a solid foundation to be built upon. That's what skill building is about. That skill development with no solid foundation underneath it is just going to crumble in the moments that matter the most. When your nervous system perceives threats, and corporate environments are full of perceived threats for introverted and highly sensitive leaders, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. You need to access that part of your brain to be able to tap into the skills that you get in leadership development programs. That's the part of your brain that holds all of your best thinking. That's the part of your brain that holds your talking points, all of the things you prepared for your presentation, for your influence, for that difficult conversation that you have to have. Basically, everything that you walked into the room ready to do or say is stored in that part of your brain. But when your nervous system is dysregulated in that fight or flight state, you no longer have access to that part of your brain storing all that information. You cannot access what you learned from a dysregulated state. The skills are there. You can't access them. Today, we're going to focus on the first layer of that framework, regulate, because nothing else works without it. Nervous system regulation is not the soft part of leadership development. It is the foundation everything else is built upon. Remember the little analogy about building a house without a strong foundation? Literally, leadership development, skill building without a strong foundation, same thing. Everything crumbles without this work. When I work with people, I like to talk about regulate in two ways. There is regulating your nervous system with daily practices to widen your window of tolerance. We all have a set window of tolerance that when we're in that window of tolerance, we're at our best. We're calm, we're focused, we can access our best thinking. We can access those skills. And when we're outside of our window of tolerance, we're in a fight or flight response. Everyone's heard of that. We're either hypo-aroused or hyper-aroused, to use the more formal language. So you can use daily practices to soothe your nervous system, to regulate your nervous system. And every time you do one of these daily practices to soothe your nervous system, your window gets a little bit wider and a little bit wider and a little bit wider, so that it's harder to knock you off your game. It genuinely widens your window of tolerance, and it changes your baseline state of calm and grounded energy. If you want more on the science of this, look up Dr. Elizabeth Stanley and you can find more research on that. So I encourage people to implement a daily practice to regulate their nervous system, widen their window of tolerance. And then also I give tools to soothe your nervous system in moments of high stress. So think of these two different situations. You can have one leader who implements these practices to widen her window of tolerance on a daily basis and knows how to soothe her nervous system in a high stakes moment to bring herself back into a state of calm and focus. Or you have the leader who just jumps straight to skill development and doesn't have that regulate as the foundational piece of her leadership development puzzle. So let's start with the typical leader in the corporate environment. She goes to presentation skills training. She's got a big presentation coming up for the senior leaders or the board of directors, something like that. So she's done the work. She has prepared her presentation. She's rehearsed her talking points. She walks in ready, and then somebody challenges her. It's a pointed question. It's dismissive tone. It's a comment that she wasn't expecting, and maybe it lands a little sideways for her. And her body responds in a way that puts her in a dysregulated state. It puts her in a fight or a flight response. So your chest feels tight, your throat feels tight, your belly starts to get those butterflies, your face feels flushed. Whatever that physical response is, you know what I'm talking about. When you get into a dysregulated state, you literally have a physical reaction to it, right? And what's worse, again, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. You can't access your thinking. You can't access the preparation. You can't access the skills you learned in that presentation skills training. So you're no longer able to get back to what you learned. Even if you are sort of able to get back, you probably never quite get back to the full level of preparation and the full talking points that you wanted to get back to. Even though the skills, the preparation, the talking points are there the whole time, because you're never able to bring yourself back inside your window of tolerance, and because your baseline, you were so easily thrown off, you're never quite the same after you're thrown off your game. So that's leader number one, with just starting with skill development for presentation skills. Now let's think about leader number two. She has the regulate, reframe, rise model for leadership development. She's working with me. I'm her coach. Lucky leader number two. So every single day she's doing something to widen her window of tolerance. So her baseline is different. This situation maybe would have thrown her off her game before. So it's the same presentation. It's the same audience. She went to the same presentation skills training and did the same amount of preparation. So if she got a sideways comment, if she got a question that threw her off, or if she even had somebody outright disagreeing with her, that maybe would have really thrown her off her game before, but her window of tolerance is wider now. She's more calm and grounded, just natural baseline now, because every single day she's doing something to widen her window of tolerance. So one, again, her baseline, she's just a more calm, grounded leader to begin with. But even if something does throw her off her game, it's really bad, and she feels her heart racing, she feels her throat get tight, and she recognizes like, like I'm off my game. I just popped outside my window of tolerance. She has tools immediately to bring herself back in. Nobody else knows it's happening. She's able to recognize it immediately, do a little practice that's invisible to everybody else in the room, bring herself back inside her window of tolerance, access that prefrontal cortex, access those skills, access that preparation, and get back to her talking points, finish what she came to do, walk out of the room, not think about it again, just go on with her day. So not only does she nail the presentation that she planned to still nail, she doesn't ruminate about it for hours or days the way leader number one is probably going to, because she was never quite the same after she was thrown off her game. So this isn't just about managing your stress better in the moment. It literally has a ripple effect that impacts you for hours, days, maybe weeks after an event like this. Nervous system regulation practices rewire your system so you walk into the room better prepared, you have a different baseline, and you walk out of the room more calm and ready to focus on the next thing. So even if things don't go as planned, it's not really that big of a deal to you anymore. It's so freeing. I can't even explain to you how much better you will feel when you have this kind of empowerment. You completely change what throws you off your game, so a lot fewer things do, and you're able to recover so much faster if something does. So again, you can learn every presentation skill, every communication skill, every influencing skill, but if your nervous system is not developed alongside your skill set, one little challenge from the room can completely take all that preparation and throw it right out the window. What a waste of your time. What a waste of your company's money. The regulate part of the process isn't just something you do before the meeting. It's not just something you do before you walk in the room. You want to incorporate this into a daily practice. It doesn't have to take long. It can be 30 or 60 seconds. There are really simple, easy things you can do, whether it's breath work, tapping, meditation. I have a whole toolkit of things that I can share with you. One super easy way to get started, there's a free guide in the description. It's a 10-minute reset. I would highly encourage you, if any of this message resonated, to download that to get started today. There is both a regulate exercise and a reframe exercise, which is part 2 of the regulate, reframe, rise model. And I will talk about the reframe part of the process in next week's video. So be sure to tune in next week. I will see you then.